tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe.
Feel that?
The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York.
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
The like button would tell me where you at. You know, Step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It Weekly show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by Geoff Klafter from the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports blog, Ajay DeVillain, Knick Nation, and someone who doesn't need any introduction, Jay Boogie, a.k.a. The Closer. For those that don't know, he wrote and produced, right? That the intro song. So we went with the long version tonight for those that don't know. A lot to talk about tonight. You know how we're doing it, conversation style. This is the Just Knickin' It show. So just think barbecue, think, hanging out, in the barbershop and the hair salon, just kicking it, or as I like to say, just nicking it. That's the vibe for the show tonight. And of course, as you know, this is the Dope Soul Collective now. So what we're really trying to do is make sure the chat is just as much a part of the show as the panel. So be active in the chat. I will be highlighting those comments, and then we will actually discuss some of them on the panel. Tonight, we're going to talk about our New York Knicks. They've won 4 straight. They've kind of turned the corner. Big win last night. Really impressive, being down 2 rotation players. Finally got OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges to have a good game at the same time. Brunson was under the weather. Bridges stepped up, particularly in that third quarter. And the defense has gotten better. Over the last 10 games, the Knicks are 3rd in the association in defensive rating. Over the last 3 games, they're number 1. Last 5 games, they're number 1 in defensive rating. The offense is 18th over that time. So we'll talk about that a little bit. The Giannis rumors are out there. Given how well the Knicks have played, it's going to be interesting for me to hear what the panel has to say and what the chat has to say about what the Knicks should do at the trade deadline. If things have changed a little bit. I know if we would have had this conversation last week, it would have been a different story. And for some of us, it may not have changed. So anyway, let's get into it. How's everyone doing? Shout out to the chat, by the way, and the silent listeners.
Doing great. Glad to see Jay Boogie in the house, and Knick Nation, our good friend, is becoming a staple over here, and the original Ajay.
What's up, Captain?
Always good to be here. Always a pleasure to talk about the Knicks.
Yes.
Good streak, bad streak, no streak, we here.
That's the truth. That's the truth. All right, let's just get right into it. How much of a believer are you that the Knicks are back to being championship contenders? Or I guess another way to put it, last night performance, do you think that was a one-off, fool's gold, so to speak, or a glimpse of what can be if the Knicks just stand pat and grow, continue to grow as a team? Boogie, let's start with you.
That was a step back towards the right direction. Let me just say it that way. We still got a ways to go. We still got things we need to handle amongst this team. We still need to figure it out. And as a whole collective bargain, we need to figure this out so we can move forward. And before we move forward, I guess that's going to be to be continued. It's another chapter to that. But last night, what happened after coming off a back-to-back and have to go through baggage claims and with Cap feeling down, you know what I'm saying? And as Queen mentioned it in the beginning, the first time is in a long time Since the Wingstop came together and they played together and they rocked out, at the same time, that was really, really meant for us to see that happen, because we've been so spoiled of not seeing that in the wrong way of spoiledness. But to see them guys together, and playing like that and letting them know, what I'm saying, we've been listening. We hear the whispers. We're going to be out there tonight doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? So I was happy to see it turn around and go in that, phase, letting us know and reminding us what they were brought here to be. And you saw a big major glimpse of that last night, but we still got a long way to go. And before I pass the mic off, a shout out to the amazing chat, man. Happy New Year to those that's watching the show tonight. And make sure you please hit that like button, share, and move this channel along where it's supposed to be at and where the queen is supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? But blessings to you all, and God blessing to anybody that's not here for the new year 2026. Just know we have you in memory and love.
For sure, for sure. Knick Nation, Fool's Goal, moving in the right direction. Your thoughts?
I'm going to say it's a positive direction, in which we're moving. But I kind of still judge it as a little bit fool's goals. Only reason why is because I don't think that those four teams, I don't measure them at that top level competition. I realize where Toronto was, but I don't see Toronto as serious contenders. So that's just my personal feeling. But so right now it's still a wait and see, prove it to me, kind of thing. And if you run off another 3-4, then I say, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we've locked in, we're ready to go. And people are more now defining their roles and excelling at them, because it is one thing to define it and then it's one thing to excel at it. So this is where I'm hoping that direction and point that we're going. I'm hoping that meeting, they drew out a lot of lines and said, here, this is your lane, that's your lane, that's your lane. Drive hard, let's get it going. But you know what I mean? But it's like anything else. More wait and see.
Yeah, so if I'm hearing you correctly, the Knicks seem to be turning the corner some, but the level of competition matters. So like in the overall scheme of things,
yes,
it might not have changed your position. Let me know if I'm putting words in your mouth in terms of what the Knicks might need.
I'm still in doubt in that sense. That's where I'm at, but hey.
Okay. All right, AJ?
Well, I agree with both Jay Boogie and Knick Nation, in the sense that we are. I mean, we're in the right. We headed in the right direction, right? And also, as Knick Nation said, the level of the competitors, the level of the opponents, the competition level of the last few games that we won, haven't been. In fact, he mentioned Toronto Raptors as they're not championship contenders, but they were probably the best team we played in the last 4 games, right? I mean, we spanked them. That's good. We had a good game, but are we contenders? I see us being contenders. It's not just a factor of how we play, but it's also a factor how the other teams play, right? When you watch other teams, I mean, there are teams who are like way more coherent than our team. We probably just have as much talent, but the other teams play better collectively. You look at it, Detroit Pistons. I've been watching Detroit, even the Boston Celtics, who are missing. They're missing Jason Tatum, but they're playing really, really well. So it's also a factor of who you're going to be playing, right? I mean, the road it got tougher, not only because we've been playing bad, not counting the last 4 games, but also because other teams are getting it together as the season goes on. Other teams are playing better, and you're starting to see they're starting to separate themselves from the bunch, right? You're starting to see the teams that are like the creams it's starting to come to the top, And it's just gonna be very tough. I don't see us being able to compete with those teams, with certain teams, especially in a 7 game series. Listen, anything can happen, but right now, I mean, there's a lot of talent on the Knicks. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of collectiveness, instead of the team, the cohesion, the chemistry, they have something that we don't. Okay, so it's gonna be tough for us.
Do you see this as a player issue or just a chemistry issue?
Well, it's one and the same, Queen. I mean, player issue, chemistry is like really based on the players. It's not a talent issue, if that's what you're asking. There is talent in that team, but I mean, chemistry is player really. The players, their play, their personalities, their interaction with each other. That's what creates the chemistry. So it is, both.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Geoff?
Well, this Knick team kind of reminds me of the first time I ever drove my car in Hackensack, New Jersey. Cars are double parked all the way up and down the street, and every stop is a 4-way stop. And you get to it, and you just have to pull out and hope that that other person isn't coming from the opposite direction to sideswipe you. You just have to get out there and pray. And right now, I kind of feel like that's how the Knicks are. Like you're inching forward, and you're just hoping there's not a car that's coming down to crush in your door panel. And because the reason I say that is there's a fragility about this team, I think, in terms of mental toughness. And I think that's what I saw during the 2-9 stretch. We really looked like we didn't have the mental fortitude that we have even displayed in seasons past. And I think that those mental lapses even carry over into games. I mean, you look at the close of the Philly game. I mean, we did everything in our power to give that game away. Glad we came out with a win. You look at the Sacramento game. We had 20,000 turnovers, and we kept that game it was a tie game going into the fourth quarter, and they were without 2 of their best players. And so, and in the Toronto game, we were down 11. And then all of a sudden we figured out, hey, if we go to the basket, this team can't stop us. And then everything just kind of fell into place and clicked, and we rolled from there. And when this team is boulder on the top of the hill. Once they get a push and they start going downhill, they're really, really difficult to stop. But for some reason, they just like to stay perched up on the hill and never get rolling. They don't do the things that maximize themselves very often. But to their credit, in the second half of that Raptors game, they really moved the ball well. They punished the Raptors defense no matter what they tried to do. And I think if you want to be encouraged, because I feel like I've been a little bit negative on the Knicks, I think what you can be encouraged about is the defense is improving, right? And that's been the big concern. I mean, we spent a month and a half as the worst defensive team in basketball, and now we're starting to see more effort on that end of the floor, and not just more effort, but results on that end of the floor. And a lot of that comes with a tightened up rotation and getting some of the non-defenders out of the lineup and playing less of Towns and Brunson together, which I'm not sure if all of those things are ideal, but they're working, at least in the short term. So from that perspective, I think that we need a shakeup or an upgrade of some sort, in my opinion, if we want to contend for a title. I don't think we're championship contenders as is right now, and that was not my opinion when the year started. I thought we definitely were. So
a lot to follow up on what what you got. I should have been writing it down. I'll start with let me piggyback off of what Ajay had to say and ask the panel: talent issue, chemistry issue, a little bit of both. Boogie?
Talent is not an issue.
Queen, I wanna correct. I didn't say talent. Was it? You asked me between player and chemistry. Because I made it clear talent was not an issue, but I said player and chemistry are one and the same, I think.
But when you say player, what do you mean then? If you're not talking about their talent, what do you mean then by player?
The personalities, their interaction with each other. That's chemistry. That's not talent. I think we have plenty of talent in that team. But the chemistry really is based on the players, like how they interact with each other, how they play with each
so
other.
You're not talking talent, but that's pretty much the same thing. Players' attitudes and chemistry.
Right.
Okay,
But
so your
talent is not correct.
Okay,
right.
So you're talking more. So you're not even talking on court.
I mean, chemistry is the on court interaction play. I don't think talent is an issue on this team at all.
Okay. All right. I mean, you can have chemistry that's not gelling because of the player's talents or not meshing. And then you can have chemistry issues because of attitudes. So I guess that's what I'm hearing you saying. It's more about attitudes not meshing.
Right.
Okay. Personalities
not meshing.
Okay. All righty. Okay. All right. Good enough. So then I don't really need to ask that question unless somebody wants to say something about chemistry and talent overall. Okay. All right, cool. I want to get back to, we were talking about the defense is better. We're ranked 18th in offense though. Do you think this is the defense getting better at the expense of the offense because we have to play more defensive-minded lineups, and that may not always be optimized for offense? Or do you think it's just a matter of time before the offense comes along or gets back to what it was? Boogie?
I believe, as far as the defense, I believe they finally realized that we can score with the best of them, and we can outscore some of the people that can't score with us. But we're allowing other people to stay within the game of us because of our defense, and our defense is very underrated. And coming into the season, because them guys have not been playing to their capabilities. It looks good at times, but solidly, we've been, it's solidly, we haven't been there for the whole season as far as playing defense. Now, we have gotten better. That's because, because a lot of rumors and stuff, people trying to step their game up or whatever it is they want to do on the defensive end, but honestly, the defense been really like not what it's supposed to be throughout the whole entire season. Especially as far as the OG at times and Bridges at times, guys not being in the right spots, not rotations, guys not being talkative on the court, being aware of what's going on, being lackadaisical, the small things, not being able to get back and stuff like that, just being very irresponsible on the defensive end. So, it's getting better, but it's going to take a whole lot more than what we've been doing. You're going to have to be able to get major stops, in the playoffs. You're going to have to be able to go on major defensive stop runs. Offense, we don't have a problem with that. We can score. We can put up anywhere from 110 to 140 on any given night. We can just click like that. But if the defense don't click like that, we're going to always keep people in the games that don't belong in the game. We're going to help their offense with our defense. So,
are you sold on the defense we've been playing? A top 5, top 3 defense over the last 10 games, number 1 over the past 5 games. Are you sold on that, or do you feel like it's more about the competition not being so great?
I'm not all the way sold on it. It's to be continued. But I think they're out of desperation right now. People playing out of desperation on all phases of the game right now, trying to figure this out with all these, rumors and stuff going on. and guys just trying to make sure they doing their part and their part on the court that they haven't been fulfilling, and defense is one of them. And you're gonna have to play defense with Brown out there. He wants defense now.
Okay. All right. Geoff?
I think it's a combination of things. I think the defense is better because of the lineups in a lot of ways. And I think Mitchell Robinson has rounded into form and given us a rim protector, an elite rim protector again for like the first time in all season, in my opinion, in the last couple of games. His rebounding has been elite, especially on the offensive end all season long. But I haven't really seen the same level of domination and devastation that we've witnessed against Philly and against Sacramento the second time. He was really super impactful on that end of the floor. I think having Shamet and Deuce back. I mean, Deuce didn't play last night, so that didn't help us for that game per se. But having those two guys back in the regular rotation with plenty of minutes is certainly helping our point of attack. I thought last night, it's kind of funny when your offense is going like it was for Wingstop last night, the defense seems to pick up a tick as well. And I thought that they were superb last night as far as getting out to shooters and getting around screens and those sorts of things, which have been struggles for us. And a lot of that stuff is just effort plays, right? Getting around screens, fighting through, getting over, not getting detached from your man, rotating properly, all of those things. That's hustle, that's effort, that's want to, whatever you want to call it. And blame it on the having a game every other day for 90 days straight or whatever you want to, or injuries. You can make whatever excuse you want, but the Knicks were simply flat out not doing that in the 11 game stretch where we were getting beat up, and we're starting to fix some of those things now. Why we stopped doing those things or weren't doing those things to begin with is a question mark, but it's starting to come around. So it's encouraging, but I'm not going to sit here and say that we've got it on lock and we're good to go now, because I don't believe that either.
Nick Nation, just what you've seen defensively, and are you okay if it means that our offense suffers a little bit because of some of the lineups we have to play?
It's good that you said that, because that's definitely the direction I'm going in. I think in the beginning it was an install as far as offense. It definitely was also new defense. But I think a lot of the players automatically emphasize more of their energy on offense and the rotation and the movement of it. But it seems that perhaps Brown or whoever is on the staff has gotten through to them that we need to hang our hat on defense. And hopefully moving forward that they understand that point of an assignment, because it didn't seem like, it seemed like, hey, between all the beginning games, we were just trying to run out there, and more emphasis was on jacking up threes, where we were shooting 40 or 50 of them a game, regardless if we were shooting 20 something percent or whatever, you know what I mean? It wasn't a great formula. So, and then you had a continuity issue because you got players that kept getting in and out and hurt. So I think right now we're just rounding more into form, the language, the having the respect to tell your players and call out on defense. I think that we're getting better at that point. And I think the language and us understanding more so where we need to be at. And I think, like I say, last night, whoever hit Mikhail with the truth serum, we all appreciate it, because it looked like he was talking a little too much. And some of the things he said, I don't think I've ever heard Mikhail come out forward like that and say those things. Which
We're gonna get to him in the next segment.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely grateful for that. But it just seems like, hey, now that the continuity is a bit better and, certain players are in these lead roles and gaining more strength and gaining more confidence in that system, I think we're better, because it seems, watching the games, you can see these guys closer proximity, because I've always discussed about that, the proximity. And quite a few games back where you would see these guys, they're, you're 4 or 5 feet away from from NBA player, that's just clear open. That's clear open skies for them. And it seemed like in these last quite a bit 7-8 games that people are closer and closer, and crowding space, and trying their best to sometimes cut some of these guys off. And Mike Brown has also implemented on certain players, certain what's names, where you will see him double a guy just to get the ball out of his hand. Changing a few different looks, switching players, giving them different looks, just as we did to Embiid, because we sent quite a few people at him, and it seemed to work out in the second half to wear him down. So I think that both the coaches are getting better with their personnel, and the personnel is getting more comfortable of understanding what the coaches want.
Yeah, right now, overall, the Knicks are third in offensive rating and 14th in defensive rating. I like that the Knicks are defense has gotten better over the last 10 games. But I just don't think a 18th ranked offense is going to be good enough. So if even with a third ranked defense, let's just say what they've been over the last 10 games, let's just say that's who they are over the rest of the season. I just don't think that's going to be good enough. You got to be able to score the ball. And I'm just hoping that that's just, different lineups. Players have been in and out. Brunson wasn't himself, last night. It's going to take some time for the offense now with these new defensive-minded lineups. It's going to take a while for that offense to keep, to get better. It may not ever be what it was in the beginning of the season, right? I'm hoping that's the case. I really want to see the defense get better. And if the offense has to drop off, it drops off a little bit, but not to 18. Because I think when you get into the playoffs, we've seen it a few years ago when we had the 5th ranked defense and we just could not generate, we couldn't generate offense. So let's see where it goes, as time goes on. Let's see how it goes. Ajay, any concern about the Knicks 18th ranked offense over the past 10 games, or do you feel like that's a good formula as long as the defense is better?
No, the offense needs to be better, because this is like it's a more of a sure thing for this team than the defense. Defense, we're going to have good games, we're going to have bad games. We could rely more on our offense than on our defense, right? So if we can, if we want to win, if we're gonna win, we have to be like one of the top 5 offensive team in the league, because the defense not gonna. Our defense lately has been good, because again, you got to look at the competition, right? If you watch the game, was it yesterday? The Raptors missed a lot of shots. They had open shots, they just missed them. Okay. Even though the effort is there's more effort on defense and the rotations and, playing the passing lane and all that stuff, and banging bodies down low, standing the grounds. Even Jalen Brunson is not a great defensive player. There's a lot of activities on his part, trying to swipe the ball away and do all that stuff. But offense is something we're more comfortable with. So you need to be like really great at it, because you're already there. Defense, you need to put in the effort, but we're not a great defensive team. So we need to get the defense. If we can get the defense to 18, or somewhere between 12 and 18, 18th in the league,
We're
and
14th
then
now.
No, but on that stretch. But I'm talking about like overall.
No, we're 14th overall. We're 3rd in the last 10 games.
In the last 10 games. But if we could stay in that range, and get better on offense, we have a better chance, because we're not gonna win 14 on defense and then 18 on offense. But I know that's not where we are overall in the season. But what we're good at is scoring the basketball. We really need to try to perfect that. It's not gonna be perfect, but that strong point need to be as strong as possible in order for this team to win.
Okay. Anybody else want to piggyback off of that?
Just two things that I thought of, especially listen to what Nick Nation had to say. You heard Mitchell Robinson even say what's better about the defense is the communication has been better. And that's a massive part of it. You have to be talking constantly on defense. And so I think Robinson has been a big part of that and has increased minutes on the floor when he's playing 26, 27 minutes instead of 18 or 19. He's been doing a good job about leading that charge and getting that done. So I think that the communication is a big issue. And the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that the top 10 is where you need to be at defensively if you're going to be a true championship contender. The Denver Nuggets, I think, were the only team that didn't that won the title that didn't have a top 10 defense in this century, and even they in the playoffs had raised to the level of a top 10 defense. So we've got to we've got to play good offense, but the defense can't be in the toilet like it was for the first 30 games. It has to be, if you want to call yourself a contender, you have to be in that top 10 range at a minimum.
And that's where some of my blame goes to Bridges. I blame him for it because, like, when the season started, in inside practices, Coach Brown labeled him the number one in practice, far as being the number one, far as exercising, defense assignments and everything. And in the beginning of the season, you was really up on defense. You was talking it real loud and everything. And when people wasn't, doing what they were supposed to be doing, you was holding guys accountable. Just like at the time when he did OG, he held them accountable and he let them know about it. And the great thing about it, is when he spoke upon to him, OG was professional with understanding. He didn't, he didn't get out of character with it. And you thought right then and there the team was growing because they could talk about certain things on man time. But then after that, it just went out the door. So, if you're not gonna be a spokesperson out there on the floor, and it's great that Mitch Robinson, he's stepping up for that. You know what I mean? But Mitch, sometimes sometimes he's in the starting lineup, sometimes he's not. So if he's not in the starting lineup, Bridges, you got to be the one that's be facilitating it out on the defensive end because you're more responsible in that way, and you can conversate more than OG. OG is really not a talkative person. Brunson, you can't look for him to be speaking upon defense. Josh, he does what he do. He's everywhere. And, we can't rely on Towns with it. You know what I mean? So, Bridges got to get them guys on the page. And I hope, from last night, things are going to start to look better, be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, let's move on to Mikal Bridges, who was everything I was hoping he would be when we traded for him, who looked similar to how he looked to start the season, right? How he came out of the gate. I was like, wow. Mike Brown has unlocked Bridges. If this is going to be Bridges, this can definitely be our year. And then I'm not quite sure, what happened. And then he made his statements to Nick Nation's point. I didn't even know. I didn't quite get it, at the time. We'll talk about it more. I guess I have a similar question that I had about the Knicks with Bridges. A one-off? Fool's goal, or has he, turned the corner? What's your thoughts? I mean, none of us know, right? We're gonna have to see more. But what do you believe in? What do you believe in about Mikal? Ajay, because I know you might have to bounce in the.
Yeah, I didn't hear the statement though that Nick Nation mentioned from Mikal Bridges. Queen, I don't. You don't turn the corner because you have one good game. Like I need to see the question, and I'm just saying, I need to see consistency because Mikal Bridges and I, you and I would communicate a lot. He's the one. I've been complaining about it, even with cats, nice stretch of not doing much for this team. And I still, we talk, all these trade scenarios come up and so on and so forth. And I'm like, man, if there's one guy I'm willing to part ways with, it's Mikal Bridges, because he's not doing anything on the team. Like, yeah, he had a good game yesterday, but besides that, he just has not been assertive. He has not been aggressive. He just hasn't come through with what he's the problem is, Queen, we know what he's capable of. You know what I'm saying? He's not a rookie. He's not a newbie in the league. He's not a rookie at all. Like, we know what rookie, like, even guys who are first year in the league, right? You go back to their college days, you have an idea what they could do. But Mikal Bridges, you know what he's done in college. You know what he's done in his first, 7 years in the league or whatever. This guy can play. He can ball, right? He's just not the same guy this year. He just hasn't come through at all. So I don't think that one game is turning the corner. If it is, I need to see a lot more of that. And he doesn't have to score 30 points, right? But the aggressiveness, the activity on defense, the playing the passing lane, all that good, like, I need to see that, but like more consistently, because you don't have to score, you don't have to shoot the ball well to have a good game. Josh Hart, sometimes he wins his games without scoring like double digits. You know what I'm saying? So you expect OG Anunoby's done that too, even though I prefer for OG to score also because he can score. But there's other things you could do. I need to see Mikal Bridges to play to the point where coach don't have to bench you in the fourth quarter like he had to do a couple of games ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're one of the options on this team. You're not just a role player that's just standing by when it happens for you. It happens. You're an important integral part of this team. You need to assert yourself and be a better player, because you've been a better player your entire career. Like, what's going on here? So I don't know if he turned the corner. I don't, one game is not enough for me to say that. I need to see a little bit more from him. So let's just wait what the next few games, how he comes out of the gate the next few games. Right now, I'm not convinced.
Okay, Nick Nation, you could talk a little bit about his comment, and then whatever else you want to add. Let's just stop, because we got a big contribution. So I don't want to just wait until the
art man, formerly known as Steve. Yes,
our guy.
Yeah, Art man, we appreciate you. It's been a minute. We haven't seen you in the chat. Hope all is well with you. He said, thank you for the generous super chat.
Thank you.
Family, I'm a sand worker, so that snow got my schedule cooked, but I'm iffy on Giannis. This team got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They deserve to do it again. Giannis is generational, don't get me wrong. He's in his 30s with a calf injury. That injury's cousin is torn Achilles. David Smith is in the comments saying the same thing. We're going to talk about this more when we get to the Giannis section. But any brief comments on just about Giannis and his age and injury history, and whether or not you feel it's a risk worth taking? Let's just keep it right there, and we'll talk about it more broadly when we get to that section. Boogie, any concerns about the injury history and his age?
Man, ain't nothing wrong with Giannis. No, he went out of there. And he's just using whatever way he can to force them people to get up out of here without him asking them, to trade me. You got to be a man sometime. But the injury, it gets concerned because what he's saying, the calf. We witnessed KD with that, the calf, and it went down to the kidney. So, saying we aware of what it could be, but I believe Giannis just needs some time off, some healing, and a new situation. And I'm one of the ones, I'm not going to hold up the space on Giannis, but I'm one of the ones like, go get him.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Jack, concerns about the injury and age?
I'm concerned for sure. I think that's the only concern I really have, even more so than fit or anything else, is that, you don't want to spend the assets, and then have a guy, who's out. And it's not just Kevin Durant that we saw with this, that we saw his teammate Damian Lillard go through the same thing. We saw Klay Thompson the same thing. So I appreciate Jay Boogie's take that maybe it's just a ploy, but at the same time, if it's not, that's got to be really concerning. And you've got to, you got to have faith that we have a good medical staff. But if you push the envelope with this guy and he tears an ACL, that really closes your window, because we can't, if you make those moves, you're not going to be able to win without him. So, that is a definite concern of mine, and I think it's a real one. And maybe that's just my PTSD screaming in my ear, but I am concerned about it. You muted, Queen.
Knicks Nation, and then Ajay.
Well, I feel, I do definitely have concerns about the injury. And I think if you do trade for him and you trade for him at this stage, and if that injury has any portion of that it is true, I say get him, but with the understanding of you're canceling out this year, because I would shut him down. I would get him, but I would still shut him down. And the only reason why is just think that the risk is too high. Because let's say, hey, you push him, we get him, you push him, you lose him at this late in the season, especially to a torn Achilles. We're looking at a round robin of then getting him and then waiting late into the season before we actually get him back. So to me is, if you're going to do it, you have to have the mindset that, hey, we'll push this year, but without him. That's just my what's name on that.
Okay. Ajay, any concerns? And again, we'll get into we have a full segment on Giannis. Concerns about age and injury.
Well, the age, not so much, because, if it depends on the trade, right? Carl Anthony Towns about the same age as Giannis. So you're trading older player for older player. But the injury is always a concern. But somebody, it might have been Jay Boogie, Geoff, I think, mentioned that calf injury usually precedes Achilles, torn Achilles. Like, it's happened quite a few times in the league, right? That's a concern. And I wouldn't do a trade if that's a concern. If the medical staff, Nick Nation, I wouldn't do what you propose, like get him and then, shelf him for the rest of the season to get him better, because it doesn't. It's like you do that, then next year, the beginning of the year, he may have the same problem again. It's a muscular thing. I don't know if they ever really heal. Like, it kind of sound crazy, but it's probably best that he goes through the injury, then get rehab, and then now the Achilles is brand new again. Unfortunately, that's just like what's been happening with those guys, right? Because when you put them to the side, you're just delaying the snapping for some reason. It kind of never works. But injuries, it's always a concern in this league. Guys get hurt out of nowhere. They get hurt. So you could not make the trade because you're worried about the injury, and then Cat goes down with something, and then Giannis comes back and have the rest of the season he plays well. It's like a crapshoot. You never know. It's a very physical game. There's a lot of strain on the body. It's you rolling dice. You just have to rely on your medical team. See what they say.
But Ajay, to a quick thing is that when they do the imaging, they do the MRI. No, they can see. They see it all. They see the slight tears, the listening tears. So what it is tears. But through time, the body will repair itself. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're saying, oh, yeah, it's going to happen. And because anybody who's had a torn Achilles, they'll tell you, no, I never wanted that, because you're just not the same anymore.
Okay, but based on what's happening in the league, like everybody who's had a torn Achilles, they come back a year later. I mean, I don't know if it shortens their career or whatever, but they come back and they're able to go. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
but I think what he's saying is if there's a tear in the calf and you give it an opportunity to heal, there might be less of a chance of it turning into an Achilles injury.
Gotcha.
Because that's basically what happened with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant pushed him. Well, I ain't gonna say Kevin Durant. Whatever it was, the staff allowed him to come back,
Warriors.
still knowing that he still wasn't really there, and then it popped because he pushed it and strained it.
Right.
Okay.
I believe this. Go ahead,
go ahead.
Queen.
No.
I believe this whole situation is going to be a Leon Rose situation, and I like what Nation said about bring him over here and shut him down. I believe that's exactly what would happen to make sure, because like this is Leon's chance to make up them 5 first-round picks that he don't gave away that he doesn't have now, or else he would already be here. So to go get this guy and bring him over here, that right there would, kind of like counterpunch from the picks that you gave up for Bridges. But then again, you also got to remember, Giannis is up for that max. So they're not going to play around with him and try to risk it, you know what I'm saying, as far as the rest of the season. And I do have confidence, as the captain said, about our medical staffs. They've been like on point with what they've been doing, and as far as keeping guys in shape and healthy and everything, you know what I'm saying, knock on wood, you know what I'm saying. But if he's coming here, I'm 100% with Nation. I believe Leon, make sure if 100, if it's not 100, if it's 98.5, shut it down, because we need a future.
Yeah. We'll definitely get back to Giannis. I only took a little aside, out of respect for the super chat.
Right. I get that.
The art man formerly known as Steve, and the last few guys that went down with the Achilles injury, KD, Dame, Halliburton, Tatum, all could shoot. So they're all serviceable after. One thing Giannis can't do is shoot. He relies on his legs. He definitely relies on power and athleticism. That's something we're going to talk about. And I think we have one other super chat that's kind of related. Hakeem the Dream, appreciate you. Anybody except for OG can go for Giannis. He didn't say OG and Brunson. He said except.
He didn't even say Brunson. What?
So we'll get into that. Let's quickly go back to Mikal, and then we're going to quickly go back to Giannis, because I don't think everyone had an opportunity to speak. I think Nick Nation was going to update us on what Mikal said for those who didn't hear in his. I'll see if I can find the video as well.
If you
and
can
then
find
your
it.
thoughts on whether he
basically had a
corner.
Yeah, he basically had a coming to Jesus moment. It sounded like, yesterday, where he, openly admitted that he is more listening to, what the coaches are telling him, and probably, whatever more details, and kind of saying sort about, maybe he had a bit of arrogance about himself, in a sense where, he just made it seem like, I know what I'm doing as a player, and I kind of went about it my way, but now I'm kind of listening more to the coaches. So it seemed like a, real coming to Jesus moment. He also talked about, that the team, that the Raptors, he felt like they were trying to punk him out, and punk the team. So that's what kind of, egged him on and to push forward. And if that is the case, I hope a few other teams here try to punk him out, because, hey, if you're going to play like that, you know what I mean? You can pay me. I'll come to every game and I'll slap you right before right before you're about to walk out. So, but whatever we got to do to incentivize him to play like that again, to have that drive, I'm all for it. But if you can find a clip, you'll kind of see how he.
I heard it. I heard it. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, because I'm like, I was like, so you need to be more coachable. You're not doing what the coach. So all of this laying down, like what? Like I didn't quite get what he was talking about. Yeah. And to your point, if you need to be incentivized and you need to be punked and you need all of this before you can play up to your potential, that's not really the mindset that I think we need for somebody who's going to be a critical part of a championship team. If he's, if he's still, yeah, thank you. I think Man Cave sent it to me. If you're still here, anyway, thoughts on Mikel? Turning the corner, wait and see. Thoughts?
Well, here you have a guy who got benched in the fourth quarter of a game and had to sit and watch his teammates play really, really well. And maybe that's the come to Jesus moment, right? Oh. And then you hear rumors of, Portland's interested in me. Do I really want to go to the Pacific Northwest and away from my buddies and all of this? And all of a sudden you have back-to-back games where he's shooting lights out and he's he's starting to live up to his potential, and so is this one of the things that once the trade deadline passes and the threat is over, he goes back to being comfortable? Or is that like, the light switch is turned on and we can leave it on and he's ready to go the rest of the way? We don't know the answer to that, but I think that it's when the these guys know the rumors every bit as much as we do. They have Twitter, they have X and the Gram and whatever other social media you want to talk about. They have it all, and I guarantee you they're not. They're checking it. They're seeing what people say. And they're involved in it. It's not like when Clyde was there where you could just not read the newspaper, you know what I mean? And you didn't have to worry about it because you wouldn't see anything else. But, these guys are inundated with it. And here it is, it's come February 1st, his de facto no trade clause is gone, right? The Knicks are free to move him with the contract extension, and he did get paid, but New York is not tied to him at that point anymore. And so, I'm curious if a big move isn't made between now and February 6th, what the team looks like when they know, okay, we're here from now to for the rest of the season at a minimum. How do they respond, or are they too broken at that point to move forward?
Yeah, let me just read it. Shout out to Man Cave for sending the MME the article. So I'm pretty sure it was quoted in many places. This one is for the Daily Knicks fan sided. Shout out to them. Frazier asked him about his 3 for 16 field goal dud in his hometown of Philadelphia and the extent to which it impacted his performance last night. And he said, "Not just shooting the ball. I think I just wasn't playing how I was supposed to be playing. I think I wasn't coachable enough. I don't know what it was. Maybe I felt too much entitlement, but just had to kind of talk to myself a little bit about it and just be coachable. Be the best teammate I can be, and then let the basketball speak for itself." It's just surprising to me that he wouldn't be coachable, because I just feel like Mike Brown has basically put the ball in his hand, and I thought it sounded like he had a lot of issues with Thibodeau, and then I thought the way he came out and played in the beginning of the season, that Mike Brown was his guy, and that they were. And every time he had an opportunity to talk about Mike Brown, he would say favorable things. So it's kind of surprising that he's saying that he was uncoachable. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Any other thoughts on it?
I'm sick of the diva talks with these guys. Just being honest. All of them got personal family, personal issues going on with themselves. And I couldn't be the coach of the New York Knicks.
Not this team.
No. Yeah. This team, yeah. Because we'd have been doing. Yeah. I'd have been laying the law.
Yeah.
The first thing I would have done with this guy Bridges, because see, the way I look at, when you're not playing good and you get subbed out the game, and guys come in the game and they're playing better than you, and they keeping you on the bench because this guy's performing better than you, then I snatch that daggone what's the name from you, that record from you. I snatch that from you. Because if somebody's playing better than you and you can't go back in the game, that same guy can get your starting spot. And maybe that'll get you in gear. You know, I did. That's part of his defense. He's lackadaisical on defense because he's trying to keep that streak going on. You want to go into the Hall of Fame as known as a ball player that played all 82 games and played all a whole season with 3 different teams. That's all you want to be remembered by. You played the whole season in Phoenix. You played the whole season in Brooklyn. You played the whole season with us. That's all you want to go to the Hall of Fame for? Snatch that from you. Coach Ron DeClario, that's what he would have done. This guy's playing better than you. I mean, he's getting ready to get your starting spot till you figure it out. You know, we need some tough love on this team. We don't have no tough love going on. And these guys, they're showing a whole lot of they diva lives going on instead of playing ball. Dude, you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars to go out there to perform, to play basketball. You know, what about all the millions and millions of dollars that we done lost, you know, hoping and praying for a good roster that can go to the championship or something, you know? But dude, when you talk to me, talk to me. I'm looking at this guy. He's in the camera. He's not even looking at the camera when he's talking. He's like he can't even face what he's saying. And then when Brunson was calling him out inside the huddle on the sideline, he talking to him. He looking the other way, like, yo, dogs, you can't talk to me after the game. You can't talk to me off the camera so nobody can see it. No, dude, you did it to OG. Dude, you did it to OG. It's your play that to have you here. I don't took a pay cut. I'm taking a pay cut. Brunson need to start laying his law. That's what he need to be doing. Just want to rant for a minute, but Bridges, yo, tighten up, man. Last night was a big completion of your game, what you can do all the time. Don't nobody need to tell you this. Coaches are there to remind you about what you're not doing because they know that you're capable of doing. You know that. You got here. You know, you're supposed to step your game up in all phases. You got a handle, you got a midi, you got a 3. You know what I'm saying? You can see the court, you can facilitate, you can play D. You almost the most versatile guy in the starting lineup.
Facts.
What you need the coaches for? Rock out.
Right. And what are they asking you to do that you were rebelling against? You know, that's the sense I got. They were asking him to do something and he wasn't coachable. He wasn't listening or he didn't want to do it. What were they asking you to do? I'm just curious.
Well, if you want to know the difference between the last 2 games and what before, I think what we've seen is better cuts and more cuts and being more aggressive to the basket. I mean, when you saw the end of the third quarter last night's game, he scored 5 trips in a row to close the quarter and took a game that was pretty much tied and gave us a 12-point lead. And almost all of that was created off of him making good cuts to the basket. And so, you know, that's something that I haven't really seen him do much lately. So if you want to know what he hasn't been doing, that would be the first thing that I would identify. And the other thing would be fighting over the screens and picks and making sure that he's in proper defensive position. And I think that's what he meant by entitled, that, you know, this is my spot. I've got my spot. I don't have to worry. I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to do this. I can just have it on cruise control. No, you gotta do everything that got you to that point, as to Boogie's point. And so I those are the things that I noticed. Do you think that's off base, or would you agree?
The chat agrees. The chat is basically saying they're asking him to fight over screens and go to the basket. East Blue Drew probably take the ball to the rim. Sherwin, they're asking Bridges to be a selfish. Sherwin always got to be over the top. They asking him to be a selfish player. They probably asked him to attack the basket.
Yes.
JJ, then trying to get him to go to the rim more. That's a good point. Thank you, chat, for that, because I couldn't think of what could they possibly be asking him to do. And maybe for him, he likes to play within the flow of the game, move the ball. You know, that's what he's talking about. And if that's the case, they're asking him to be more assertive, get in the key, get to the lane. Maybe he's thinking that's not his game, and maybe there was some resistance there. That makes sense.
In the movie King of New York, and when they was inside the movie theater, And what he told Frank is stick around. I got Frankenstein coming on next. So Bridges, stick around. Because Leon is smart. Yeah. He held you out that money long enough for you to miss it. So when he offered it to you, you immediately signed it on August 1st. And now here comes that 6 month. Keep playing around. That 6 month is Sunday. First Sunday, I'll be praying for everybody on the first Sunday. But first Sunday be 6 months. Keep playing around and think you won't be up out of here. Because Leon is on a mission right now. Yeah, he on a mission.
Yeah.
You think it's cool to come, just being you got it all. Nah, okay. Trick
It's
you with
something
that
that
first.
it's something that we've always thought about with Mikhail. It's the lack point of the physicality, the avoiding the contact, the fade away consistently, never put it his shoulder into anybody, even when he's dribbling the ball up, like you said, about his handle. Remember, what it more so is about his handle is because you still have to be physical with a handle.
Mm-hmm.
That's the NBA. These guys are, you got guys with 7'2", 7'3" wingspans. You got to shove a guy up off you. You got to see it constantly. You shove a guy up off you, and he avoids a lot of that. So, you know what I mean? Maybe they've, honed in on him, showed him specific points, you know what I mean? And he might have pulled away from that and been like, well, no, I don't think that this, I don't think that, you know what I mean? You get defensive. And then he might actually now, had it, like you said, come into a Jesus moment and actually saw it. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
It's that record. It's that record.
And it's the
600 and change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's easy to come to the Jesus moment when things are about to change. So he hearing about going to Portland. Oh, let me get it together.
Yeah. End of earth. That's the end. That's the end right there. It's flat. It's going off the cliff right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick it up. Jeff said in the beginning of the show that he doesn't have the same confidence in his team as a contender that he had in the beginning. And I kind of feel the same way. And the reason I feel that way is because of OG and Mikhail's play. The way they came out of the season busting it, I'm like, oh shit, we caught. I didn't think it would happen in the first year, but if this is who they're gonna be, shit, we might be going this year. And then the drop off in the sense of them not living on that level, just being a bit more inconsistent. Still good players, don't get me wrong, can give you a good game offensively here and there. But in the beginning of the season, they were like living at that level for, I don't know, 10 games, 15 games. So whether or not I think the Knicks are championship contenders, to me, those are the two swing factors. Like, which OG and Bridges are we getting? The ones in the beginning of the season? Hell yeah, we can stand pat. We don't need to do nothing if we're going to get those guys. But who we've seen since then, sometimes they on point, sometimes they not. Then we got Cat with his issues. I'm like, nah, we're not getting to the championship unless all three of those things kind of come together. Anything else on the Knicks before we move to Giannis? Anything else on the last 4 games? Anything else on anybody we didn't talk about over the past?
I will defend OG. I think I'll defend OG a bit because I have noticed about OG, if we can take the last 4 or 5 games, I'd like to count how many dunks the man has had. And to me, that says that, hey, he knows that offensively I might be off for this or whatever it is, but he's going downtown and saying, here, stop this dunk. And I appreciate that, especially when you're shooting this off and you come in and you can muster up that energy and bang in there and get that dunk, because he's either getting the dunk or a lot of times, sometimes, guys going to block your shot cleanly. But other times, the way that the officiating is, you know what I mean, it's geared to the game. Go for the dunk and hope for the foul. So I appreciate that.
The last 5 games, Nick.
No doubt.
Like, I mean, over the course of the season, I don't think that's
but that's a path. But it's a path of correction to say that he knows it and he's correcting his path. So that I appreciate.
Let's see. He has, Bridges has 1 game under his belt for us to kind of keep an eye on and see if that's what he's going to continue to do. OG may have 3 or 4 games under his belt. Let's see if that's who he's going to continue to be. All right, I'm gonna get to the chat briefly, and then we're gonna switch into we'll switch into the Giannis talk. Anna Grill. So, do you break up a team rounding into form? That's a great point. We'll talk
Are
about
we
that.
rounding into form? I think that's an equally valid question. Like, because I would answer if we're truly rounding into form, my answer would be probably no. But I don't know that we're, I don't know what we're rounding into right now.
So you're just saying this is just a nice little streak with a good win. It's too early to say we're rounding into form. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Hakeem the Dream, Giannis with OG is already a championship caliber team. I would include Brunson in the trade. Wow. Okay. All right. Latoria B, we don't need to rebuild again. This team is good enough to win. The cup run wasn't a fluke. I hope they don't destroy the team. Would you say they don't need any changes, or would you say, Latoria, just if they are going to make any changes, just around the margins? All right. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. I put up most of them. There was one though that I wanted to talk about. It was from Parish Duggar. How can you complain about a team that's over 500? What is there to complain about? Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're under 500. If you just look at that, maybe you're satisfied. But if you've watched every single game, and I'm sure you have, particularly that 9 of 11 streak, I don't think you could just look at the final record. I think you have to look at how this team has been playing game in and game out. And I think you have to look at that stretch as well. Was that just something all teams go through, just a bad stretch in the season, or did that 9 and 11 tell us something about this team, either talent wise or mentally? Right. All right. Okay. Let's get into the Giannis talk. He's an all-time great. We already know that. Couple of questions I have. One is, does bringing him here automatically make this team better, or does it still depend on what the front office is able to put around him and Brunson? Because I would assume Brunson is not going in that trade. Ajay?
It definitely yeah, what can they put around him, right? Who's going to be gone as part of the trade? And I think somebody just said, somebody in the chat says, you do not trade OG Anunoby. I don't know. Like, is OG going to be gone as part of that trade? That's something I wouldn't want either. Even though OG hasn't had a great season, but I feel like somebody like OG Anunoby, especially with this team, you need somebody like him to win a championship. The balance that he brings on, both offense and defense, even when he doesn't score, and we were just talking about, he's a little bit more aggressive, going to the basket, trying to get his game going. He's trying to make it happen. The effort is there. So he's a professional basketball player. He's talented. So it's gonna come around to where he's having a monster games back to back to back. Who are you putting around Giannis, right? Who's gone in the trade? And who's gone in the trade that makes sense with the money part? Who's going to be like I think Geoff is really good at those. Maybe Geoff could probably go through some of those scenarios in terms of the salary matching and all that stuff, and contract analysis. I don't see how they could get Giannis in a way that makes sense for us. Even when they talk about Portland, like in the NBA, no, it's rare. I mean, it happens, but it's rare that teams do other teams favors, right?
I don't think it would be a favor for Portland. They would be getting back a player that they want. they wouldn't just be doing. So you either doing it to get draft assets for the future or to get a player. That's how you, or a player that you want. That's why you would help facilitate a trade. It wouldn't be just to help another team out.
All right, listen, Portland, they'd give up their draft assets to maybe
They have Milwaukee's. They have 3, if I'm not mistaken,
of
of
Milwaukee's.
Milwaukee's first round.
Is it
draft
3 in a
pick.
swap, 3 in a pick swap, or 2
I
in a
think
pick
it might
swap?
be 1 and 2 pick swaps if I'm not mistaken. But let's just say Portland wants Bridges. They might be willing to give up, 1 or 2 of those picks back to Milwaukee.
And probably some of their own also, I guess.
They might be willing.
All right, listen.
But I guess the main point is, do you think Brunson coming here automatically makes the team better, or that they still going to have to do a bit more?
Giannis, you mean?
Work, Giannis. I mean,
Yeah. I think, of course he does, man. Come on, this guy. He's one of the best players the league's ever seen. Yes, even at his age, he's still producing at a high level. So yeah, of course, him coming here would make the team better. Absolutely. But
you think they would get? Okay.
And I was gonna say, in order to win a championship, you can't just bring him here and then have nothing else around him. Case in point, in Milwaukee, it's just him. He actually had okay players around him, and they're just like in free fall right now. Did they? I think they were losing tonight. I don't know if they lost to the Wizards, but when we started the show, they were down by like 14 points in the third quarter.
Let me ask the question a different, because you bring up a good point. It's hard to answer these questions without knowing who's going out, who's gonna, who's going in. Geoff brought this up earlier on the show. If you guys don't know, Geoff and I do a lunchtime live recap show the day after the Knicks play, and sometimes it's Knick Nation, particularly if it's on a Sunday. Let me see. I wrote it down here. As a triad, as a core, I didn't want to say threesome. As a triad.
Pause.
Right.
Triumvirate
of Cat, Giannis, and Brunson.
Okay.
Or Brunson, Giannis, and either Bridges or OG. Which one makes this team better?
Cat, Giannis, and Brunson.
That's your choice. Okay. Knick Nation.
Whew.
Or Giannis, Brunson in one of the wing stops.
I'm gonna say I'm going with I'll say OG. I'd rather have Giannis, Brunson, OG. If you'd like me to elaborate on, I damn sure can elaborate on that. And the reasoning why is, well, basically is this. We have 1.5 downhill attacking, and I'm giving the 0.5 to on a given night of who might help him out. Sometime it's OG. Sometime it might be Mikhail. Cat gives a try for it. But in order to win, I believe, a championship and consistently, you need at least two full attacking style players. We do not have that. We have, I'll even say Hart, but Hart, there's times too where Hart will be a 0.5, because there's certain times nights where he may not say, hey, I'm not here with my offensive game. OG game to just be off. He doesn't have that great handle like that. As we know, Mikhail's handle is a little bit weak like that. But if you got Brunson and you got Giannis, just think about the attack wall, because everybody plays Giannis pretty much that same way. You got to take at least 2 to 3 players almost at any given time when that guy's driving the ball, and everybody sets up on that baseline point at the top of the point at the key, and they formulate that wall. Imagine us having that with Brunson off to the side, or even any other players, even with OG. What he does as far as consuming how many players on your defense, That to me is more interesting, and I would love to just see that with a guy like Brunson, at his wing at times, or vice versa. That to me is more intriguing than anything. And if we can get that, I say go get it.
Okay, Jeff.
In a vacuum, I think that the Towns pairing comes is better, and I like the Towns Giannis Brunson pairing because they're both elite 3-point shooters, Brunson and Towns, and that's the best surroundings for Giannis is to have guys who you can kick the ball out to and shoot. He's excellent at doing that. That's one of the strengths of his game is the drive and kick. And Towns is comfortable about catching the ball at the top of the key and making above the break 3-pointers. And so I think it would play into his game a lot. We're always looking for the opportunity to play Brunson off the ball. Oh, now we can play Brunson off the ball, and he's put him in places where he can get wide open 3-pointers, and so the meta with Giannis is to surround him with 3-point shooters, right? And so I think that Towns and OG's not bad, but I just think that Towns and Brunson is a lot more versatile, and Giannis can then switch between the 4 and the 5 defensively a lot better. I don't think you're going to want to see OG guarding 5s a good percentage of the time. And so I think it also affords you more defensive flexibility. So from that aspect, I think I would prefer to see Towns alongside that and kind of have our own big 3. But again, those trades are a lot more difficult to manufacture just because to answer Ajay's question a little bit, Tyler Kolek and Karl Anthony Towns salaries together is enough to get a Giannis trade accomplished. As far just salaries is all I'm talking here, whether that's what the teams want and so forth. If you need to bring in a third team, all of those things are separate conversations that we certainly can have, and there are probably a lot smarter people about it than I am to fill in those gaps. But so even if you're talking about a 3-team trade, it's a lot easier to accomplish a Giannis trade if you're moving Towns because their salaries are like $2 million difference apart. Whereas if you're talking about moving OG and Bridges, it gets a little bit more complicated. You've got to stack more contracts, and if you're stacking contracts, you have to worry about having the minimum 14 players because you can't go into the playoffs with just 11 guys, and so
you got to have a team.
It is possible, though. It is possible to do a trade that a 3-team deal that's structured, and I'm using this as an example, not saying any of the teams would do this, but I'm just using it as an example because I saw that it worked on the trade machine in a certain iteration. I don't remember all of it, but it's possible to have a 3-team trade where, in other words, we send Bridges to, say, Portland, and then we send wait, let me think about how it was a 3-team deal. We sent OG to New Orleans, I think, along with like Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride, and then you get New Orleans sends like Zion and maybe Herb Jones to Milwaukee, and New Orleans has a couple of their draft picks as well. They're the other team that has control of their assets, so you could even talk about one of those going back to the Bucks, which I'm sure would be attractive to them. And then the Knicks would end up with Antetokounmpo and that kind of a scenario. So it is possible, but it's very complicated, and those trades don't usually work. Like the more complicated it is, the more moving pieces, parts, the less likely the deal is to happen. And so I just from the perspective of simplicity, I don't think the trade is going to happen without Towns involved in it because it's too many moving pieces, parts to keep a man sane or keep a person sane. So I would think that it may be a 3-team. Milwaukee may not want Towns. You may see Towns go elsewhere. I don't know where. Or it may be a situation where we do send Towns to Milwaukee and we send Bridges to to Portland, and it's a 3-team deal that way. There are a lot of iterations where that happens, but if those are the case, then we're talking about having most of our core still intact, like 6 out of 8 players. And let's be honest about one thing. Giannis is a better defensive player than OG Anunoby right now. And it's not close. Like, OG is a good defender. Giannis is a great defender. And he's a terrific offensive player as well. So the chat has mentioned all the players that they would rather have over him, and I'm not going to argue that, but I still think you can make the legitimate case that even with all of his injuries and everything else, he's a top 5 player in the league. And so, those don't grow on trees, and if you have a chance to get one, you do it and you figure the rest of it out. And I don't think it's going to be that difficult to figure out, because that's the reason that the Knicks are so appealing, is that as opposed to a team like Miami, who's, hovering about 500, they make that deal. He's in a similar situation that he was in Milwaukee. The Knicks have the ability to make that trade and still have enough left to be a championship contender, and very few, there are some, but very few other teams can claim that. The Lakers possibly, San Antonio most certainly, but I don't know that they're willing to give up Castle or Harper, and I think that would be necessary to do that kind of a deal, and I'm not sure that they're willing to do that. Oklahoma City could, but they're already championship contenders. There's not any reason for them to do that. So I
Geoff, do you think
my thing is I don't think it's going to happen. I'll be shocked if it does still, but if the Knicks have the opportunity to do it, then they need to be aggressive and they need to get it done. And even if he's number 11, it's still worth the trade.
I have a question, but I think Nick Nation had something.
Yeah, because the question that I was having is that, because it's the reason why we're moving Cat out, is because to have Cat and then Brunson and Giannis can't cover both their woes. He can cover probably one of their woes, but that's one of the main characteristics of why, because those two having 2 terrible defenders out on the court, and then saying, hey, and then not having that animosity that, hey, Cat, I'm sorry, you can't be on the end of the game. Or, things like that. So that's one of the main reasons why I felt OG would be a better source in there, because now you got 2 really great wing defenders. That's my point and take on that, is that if you kept that guy, and then the mental errors, we don't need that at the end of the game. It's a lot of times why he's not there for.
Though. If OG has to go out, you might have to lose 2.
Oh, yeah,
you might have to lose 2,
sure.
Because Giannis is not a center. So this idea that you're going to play Giannis at center and play OG at 4, I don't think Giannis is going for that. And I would not play Giannis and Mitch. To me, that's Brick City right there. Like, Giannis needs space around him. He's always played with a spacing center. So if it's not Karl Anthony Towns, you're gonna have to go out and get one, because a lineup of Mitch, Giannis, Hart can't even be in that. Like, he has to go to the, like, you have to have spacers around Giannis, because as great as he is, he can't shoot.
My only thing is that I'll take it like even with Jordan. Let's look at Kerr. Kerr to me was a bump. But you know where he was good? When you're getting wide open shots. Then you look great. And I think with Giannis, and between Giannis and Brunson, everybody else around him, if you can even get that ball anywhere near it, you'll become a 3-point shooter.
They got to be able to. No. Mitch is not going to become a 3-point shooter.
No, we ain't talking about Mitch now. No,
I'm just saying. I don't think Hart is going to become. My point is, you have to put shooters around Giannis.
Mitch is a good 3-point shooter in the summer.
Okay, all right, okay, fine. You have to. My point is, if we have to let OG go, he plays the same position as yeah, sure, you can move him to the 3.
Yeah, we've
But
always wanted to move him to the 3. We think he's better
I,
there.
I don't
Better
think so
mismatch,
because
better
I don't think
better
he has
better
a handle.
mismatches. I
I
think
don't
he
think
has
he has
better
a handle.
mismatches though on the offensive side. You know what I mean? So
What
that's just my.
mismatches will he have? Because he don't have a handle to play out wing and space and try to get around these wing defenders. He's better at the 4 because those guys usually they become more mobile over the decades. Don't get me wrong, but they're usually not as mobile as a 3. So OG can
Excuse
kind
me.
of get away with that little poultry handle that he has against those guys. But you put him out on the wing, as long as he's not creating, is mostly catch and shoot. I guess he'll do okay. My point is, I'm not letting OG Anunoby hold up a Giannis trade if it comes to that.
Oh yeah,
That's my point. Like, I'm not letting anybody other than Brunson hold up a Giannis trade if it comes to that. You know, I'm not a big. I don't think him and Brunson are a great fit, in my opinion, because I think both of them are best on the ball. At their best on the ball. Sure, Brunson can play off the ball, but he's at his best on the ball. Giannis has to play on the ball. What are you going to do? Drive and kick it to him for what? For him to drive and kick it to somebody else? So both of those guys are better on the ball. Brunson is not a pick and roll guy. That's one of the reasons why he couldn't he didn't mesh well with Randall or Cat, because he's not a pick and roll guy. He's an isolation guy. You'd run a pick and roll with why? He not hitting you. You know what I mean? So
I think
you're
that's
not
his
running.
style because he did it in Dallas. If you go back and watch his games in Dallas, he did it
But
there.
well, then it's an ego. Like, I don't know what it is,
Oh yeah,
but
definitely ego.
he doesn't run pick and roll. You're not running a pick and roll. Giannis and Dame didn't run pick and roll. Giannis wants to be the one initiating the pick. You know what I mean? The pick and roll. So I don't know how this fit is going to work out with those two. But if you have the mindset, get the best player in the building and figure it out, I'm not going to argue with that. But I do have some concerns about the fit between Brunson and.
But don't you think Giannis and the nail with the ball in his hands in a Sabonis type role it highlights his skill set in a great way in Mike Brown's system, and you can get Brunson a lot of wide open catch and shoot opportunities, which he's very good at. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I can definitely see it working. And the other thing is I think Brunson is more willing to defer to Giannis just because he is an MVP, whereas everybody else that he's played with, Randall and Cat, good players that they are, I don't know that they're demonstrably superior offensive talents to what Brunson is.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think what I'm trying to say is, if Giannis is on the ball all the time, where he's at his best, Brunson playing off the ball most of the time, you're not going to get the best of Brunson, is what I'm saying.
I think you've opened up a can of worms, though. You've opened up a can of worms, so.
Yeah, hold on. If you're mixing it up, where sometimes Brunson is on the ball, sometimes Giannis is off the ball. I just don't see his utility off the ball. I just don't see it. Can you win a championship with Brunson being 75% of himself? Right? Because he's off the ball more. I mean, depending on who's around him, you can. I'm just not sold on the fit. That's all I'm saying.
I just think I think you did what both of you guys said, opens up a can of worms, because if you are bringing Giannis here and the way that the system is right now, that doesn't fit what Giannis does. So where do we, so like I say, that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother avenue to go down, because does he fit what we do?
And can Mike Brown get the best out of that pairing in terms of running something that takes advantage of both of their
100
skill set? I'm not very confident in it, just in terms of what I'm seeing with Brunson and Cat. And again, we talked about this on the show. You could run the right things and then Cat is missing shots. That's something totally different. You can look and see these sets are trying to take advantage of both of those guys, and Cat is just not holding up his end of the bargain. Cat is struggling, but I don't really see that offense where they're both playing well together. And some of that can also be Brunson. I just don't think he's a good or willing pick and roll ball handler.
That's fair.
You know,
Guys, in the middle of all that, right? I had a question because I think the consensus or what we're all talking about is Cat for Giannis trade, right? We're Knicks fans, of course. We look at it from the Knicks point of view. Let's look at it from Milwaukee point of view. Why would Milwaukee bring in Cat to play with Miles Turner? How are they going to make Cat and Miles Turner?
It's going to be a 3-team. It would be a 3-team trade.
So Cat wouldn't go to Milwaukee.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Or maybe Miles Turner gets sent elsewhere for parts too. I mean, you get in other words, Milwaukee's in rebuild mode anyway, so it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all the pieces fit. I mean, they're not even in position to make the play-in right now. So I mean, it doesn't like they're in reset mode regardless. So whether they could even bring Cat in and shut him down if they wanted to. I don't know. I'm not saying that they would definitely do that. I'm just saying that. And I don't know that they necessarily want Cat, but there's a lot of ways around that part of it. The important part with Towns is the salary component is similar. That's the only reason that part of it makes it simple. But it's a legitimate question, and that's one of the reasons why I continue to say I don't think Antetokounmpo is coming here by the deadline. I'll be shocked if he ends up walking through that door. I just will, and I'm wrong all the time. You guys know that, but I will be very surprised if Leon Rose is able to make that happen in the next 8 days.
Breaking news. I'm stuck.
I mean, the Knicks can offer a little bit more in the offseason, but so can other teams. But
there's less team control also. So are you willing to give up more assets for less? In other words, if you get him, you have to be pretty sure that you're going to extend him, right? Because you don't want to give up that treasure trove of assets and then have him opt out of his contract the year after, and then you basically did that for nothing. I know it's been done before with Kawhi Leonard, but I mean, and the Raptors won a championship, so all is good. But that ruined Toronto for the next 5 years after that. And again, that's a trade that you're willing to make if you do, but you do that, you better be sure that you're a championship situation. And Toronto certainly was in that instance, but I don't know how. Yes, it's true that you can get more, but the closer you get to that opt-out date, the less you're going to get in return for him as a player, in my opinion, just because the rental period is less and there's more risk involved on the team that is taking him on. Now, I don't think it's a real big risk with New York, because I think if New York traded for him, he would certainly extend there and here and be done with it. But I think it limits your suitors extensively to maybe us and the Heat and maybe one or two other teams. Maybe Boston wants to get involved. I don't know, but I think you're limiting yourself in terms of teams who are willing to pay and how much they're willing to pay, just because there's that uncertainty where you only have 1 year of team control.
Yeah, so definitely where Giannis wants to go is going to be a big part of it, right? So I'm hearing New York, Miami, Golden State, maybe Minnesota have been the reports. However, even with those teams, some of those teams will be able to offer more in the offseason than they can offer at the trade deadline. And so Milwaukee, from what I'm reading, is they're open to trade talks. But if they have to wait until the offseason, they'll wait. Like, they don't feel pressed that they have to get it done within the next 8 days. Portland, they would definitely love a trade with Portland so they can get their assets back, but there's no way Giannis is signing with Portland, right? So Portland, knows that if they trade for him, he's not, he's not going to resign. So Giannis is under contract this season, $54 million, and he's under contract next season for 50. Is that 58? For $58 million. And then the 2027-2028 season, he has a play option where he can opt out. But he's under contract for this season and next season.
But again, if you're not trading him by the trade deadline, that means you get 1 year guaranteed, right?
Yep. Yeah.
1 year rentals don't fetch as much. Look at the price that the Spurs got for Kawhi Leonard. They got DeMar DeRozan, Jacob Poeltl, and a first-round pick.
I'm not sure how much. It's the same set of teams they're going to be dealing with, whether they do it now or at the trade time. Maybe somebody else will pop up that he'll be interested in, but I don't think there's going to be any difference in the teams. It's just that those same teams may be able to give a little more in the off season. Whoever trades for Giannis, they're pretty sure he's going to sign there, or you're not going to trade for him. So you trading for him now to have him for a year and a half, and trading for him in the summer to have him it's just a half more year.
It matters to Giannis though, because he gets to compete for a championship another season if he, you know what I mean, as opposed to sitting out the playoffs entirely, which is what he's faced with now.
Okay. So then if that's the case, then it's on him to put the pressure on the front office. That's on him. But from the Bucks' perspective, from what I'm reading, they're not pressed to trade him within the next eight games. Yeah. Boogie, yeah. I'm just interested in your thoughts on his fit with Brunson. Who do you think would work best around those two? And are you of the persuasion just get him in the building and work it out?
My opinion is the best fit to really make it work is going to be Triple J. That's just my opinion. That's what I like. I think Leon has played too many checkers games. He ain't played no chess. You try to make Danny Ainge feel a different way about all the draft picks, so you didn't go get Donovan. And then you turn around and you gave all them picks to Brooklyn for Bridges. When you came here, you told us that, you was going to bring a superstar here, right? Bringing a superstar here. Okay, Brunson came here, but he wasn't a superstar, and he's still not a superstar, but he is an all-star that's climbing in, his ranking. So I don't count. I mean, that doesn't count for me as a superstar. Mm-hmm. So the only way you can get a superstar is to trade for a superstar. So when a superstar tells you, I want to go to New York, right then and there, you don't go get him? What makes you think, and that go for everybody, what makes you think Giannis want to come to New York now? You didn't come get me when I asked you to come get me, and I said it. Hard as and tough as a time it is for me to say it to Milwaukee, I want to be traded. I said I would like to go and play in New York. I would love that. He wants to play around a point guard, so I'm going to eliminate some of these other guys that's talking about going. He wants a point guard. If you ain't got a point guard, he's not even going to say anything. Because we cannot forget the fact that he got his own trade clause. He's going to dictate where he want to go. So what makes us think that Giannis might say, they didn't want to come get me, I'm going to go somewhere else? What makes us think that, two of his men is over there in Portland, he might not want to go play with Holiday and Dame over there? We don't know none of these things. But when you got an opportunity, a chance to go do something, you got to go get it. You can't leave. You can't when we won't battle in nobody. You supposed to win. Got him. You didn't go get him. Now you got all these different teams coming up to these different scenarios. Pat Riley, you know he can't get him. He ain't got a point guard over there. There ain't gonna be nothing with him and Bam. And he know he can't get him, but he want to try to do anything to make sure we don't get him. We fighting with all these different people and stuff. So I just think Leon is like he's dropping the ball a little bit on what he needs to do and what he shouldn't do, and sooner or later Brunson time is going to be up. He's not getting any younger. So like we're on the clock. It doesn't matter what it takes to go get a man like that in this building. Beginning of the season, I don't care who it is. Brunson is here. We'll figure everything out. Man, y'all got to go. Don't even worry about putting it in your locker rooms and stuff like that. I'm just honestly tired. Every year we there. Then when the season starts, we got to make changes. Every year we swapping back. I want to be settled, man. Julius bugged out. I know we all bugged out, but shoot, Julius over there with $33 million per year. Everybody said, "Oh, he was this many time All-Star. Rookie, most improved player. He gonna want the max and all that." Man, he ain't even want no max. He took $33 million per year. 105 million per 3 years or whatever it is, and he over there balling out.
But he didn't accept that from the Knicks, though.
Huh?
He didn't accept that from the Knicks. He didn't accept that offer from the Knicks.
He might have accepted it from the Knicks, but still he accepted it from Minnesota. So if Julius, I believe Julius wanted to be here. He don't build a park. I think he would have done whatever it takes to stay here to help build a championship. That's what I think personally. You know what I'm saying? But they got him up out of here. I understand you got him up out of here. You want Towns. Go get the Townsend over there. Now look what we got. We got a $53 million dude that he ain't nowhere in the facility of the game. So, I don't know what's going to happen, as far as the rumors, the trade or whatever. I wish the deadline is hurry up and over with. So then I can focus myself on the team, see what we got moving forward because, we got too many blown opportunities and everything going on, man. And even if he get traded, to Minnesota, I'm watching Julius and Dante go to Milwaukee. He could go to Minnesota. That talk is about, and I remember not too long ago, Queen, you asked me, Boogie, I said, you happy with the squad, you're doing good. And how fast did they immediately snatch that from you, turn that around? Man, I snatched all my music back off the shelf. Now, I ain't putting nothing out. Now, ain't nothing going. I ain't doing no videos, no nothing. It's nothing. Nothing. Man, Lord.
Yeah, so is it fair to say you're a little down on Leon for the Cat Bridges move instead of holding out but then if you hold out a little longer, it's hard to say what's going to come up. You know what I mean? It's hard. So we would have been in the doldrums with that team waiting for Cat. Waiting for Giannis.
Man, everybody know this the new collective bargaining was coming the 2nd April. Everybody knew that was coming. Everybody, all them owners, they know that's coming. The GMs, they know it's on. Vice President, everybody knows it's coming. You gave away everything. 11 first-round picks we had when he came here. 22 second-round picks we had. Cap space, we had all of it gone out the window. Everything gone. And now what we got to show for it? Charles Smith in the second making.
That's
Charles
Smith.
He got swapped. You see, he got 6 times last night. Get it out of here. Yeah, you can't tell me I ain't had Charles Smith flashbacks. I'm like, oh my God. Lord.
Charles Smith never had 22 rebounds a game in his life, though, bud.
But see, that's the thing about it. I'm not sold on them rebounds. He been leading the league in double-doubles. He been doing that rebounding. I know he can do that. You're not here just to do that. Dude, you got to get them buckets. You need to be averaging 24, 25 points per game. What's his name? Diawara. That's the young guy.
Diawara.
Yeah, it was a game. He looked Towns off, looked him off. Hey, yo, younger, come here, yo, give me that
I
ball.
saw
What
that
you doing?
too. I mentioned that
Yo,
on the
what is you
recap
doing?
show.
You gotta let me know you don't even want to rock. You ain't not even comfortable here.
Hey, Steph, I'm gonna duck out because I need to get some tea. My throat is, I don't know what's going on with it, but it just started tickling here like crazy.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. Appreciate you.
Blessings to you, King, man.
Easy
Bless
out,
you,
bro.
man.
No doubt, yo. So
Kind of a continuation of the super chat question. He's 32 years old, right? And he doesn't really have a refined offensive game. Like his game is dependent on power and athleticism. Any concern, like if somebody has an offensive game like a Kevin Durant, if they lose a little athleticism and what have you, because of their skill level, you could still get out of them. Any concern about a possible drop off because his game, again, is so dependent on power and athleticism. And he's already 32.
He's 31.
All
Talk
right,
about Giannis.
31 in 10 months. I'm kidding. 31.
No, he actually just turned 31.
Oh, you talking about Giannis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, right? It's he's power and athleticism.
I mean, if we can get a couple of good season of 2-3 good season of that power before the real drop off, I'm okay with that.
I mean, I can see it. Coach Mike Brown. This is a 6'11" Draymond Green on offense. I can see it. I know the things he can do with this guy. He played a point forward, just like Draymond doing. I can see it. But you got to get him here, dude. You got to get him here.
I'm concerned about that. I think when you bring Giannis here, your window is 2 years. Maybe 3. Maybe 3.
You think he's going to fall off a cliff at age 34?
He could.
I'm just asking. That's a legitimate take.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a skilled. I don't want to say he's not a skilled player. This guy's not a bum by any stretch. You know what I mean? Even with his lack of shooting, what he's been able to do in the NBA, and people know he can't shoot, and he's still been able to dominate. But if he does lose some athleticism or what have you, then it's a wrap. Like there's nothing for him to fall back on. I think that's a legitimate, concern.
Shoot, LeBron 41.
Say that again.
LeBron 41.
He hasn't had the calf issues that that Giannis has been having. So I kind of see Queen's point. I really do. I think maybe you get Giannis, you end up load managing him, in a Kawhi Leonard kind of a way, which that prospect doesn't thrill me either. But I mean, certainly if you got him this year, I would figure they would have a load management protocol, in place, and then see how it goes next year. But I don't think you can get him and Tom Thibodeau him into the ground once he gets here. He's just not going to hold up if the injury is in fact what he says it is, and he's not just putting on so he can, sit out and put pressure on the Bucks to trade him, which we won't know the truth until if and when it happens, right? We don't know. You never know how severe it is until you've paid the tax, and then you get to find out.
I do want to I don't want to come across as saying that or intimating that Giannis is not a skilled player. He is. He's just not. He's just not a shooter. Like I just think his game is a big part of his game is power and athleticism. But I'm not going to say that he's just an athlete and like he's not a skilled. He's a very smart player. He's a really good defender. He's a really good passer. He gets everybody involved. He's a team player. He's a good player. He's one of the best players to ever play the game. So I don't want to come across as saying he's not skilled. I'm just a little concerned about if he loses a little bit of that. But to Boogie's point, LeBron is 41. He's keeping his body, in shape and
Still going.
staying healthy. Yeah.
Giannis did so much for Milwaukee before they got, in position to, to be, as contenders and stuff, be later on in his career, once they became contenders and won championship. Before that point in time, he was doing everything over there. So that's why I say, like, if he was to come over here, I'm not getting rid of OG because I don't want for him to come over here and have to check the best offensive player on the wing. That's what I want him to be able to go kill and do what he does. You know what I'm saying? That's why I would keep OG here so he don't have to do those things. You know what I'm saying? Just be like a backup to him. You know what I'm saying? Protect the rims and stuff like that. You're going to have to limit some of the things that he used to do, but to limit some of the things that he used to do, you're going to have somebody here that can do the things that he don't have to do anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's ways you can work around it and everything, but most importantly, it's the health. He's going to have to be healthy and everything. I would not be mad if Dolan pull out before you make this trade or whatever, bring that medical slip. Let me see that. Or let us send our doctors in there. Let us get a full look. I trust what we got over here more than anything, just like he did with the Kevin Durant thing. You know what I'm saying? Let me see that. You talking about, because in another year or so, your player option, you're going to be wanting that bread. I got to make sure I can be able to give it to you. So I got to protect my household and I got to protect you and the money. And then at the same time, in 2 years, Brunson going to be like, yo, come here. I need that bag this round because I did a gut check for you and you ain't got me Towns and you got me Bridges. He don't know what he want to do. You got me all these guys over here I took the cut for and I'm nowhere. So I'm 31 now. I'm 31. I need James, I need the money myself, James. Lee, I don't care how you do it. Figure it out. I don't know. We're in a tough situation. It ain't supposed to be like this.
Yeah. Well, I think Giannis could put pressure on Milwaukee, right, by saying that the Knicks is the team that he wants to go to. I think if the Bucks go for that, it's something that's going to happen in the offseason. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 8 days.
What's the deadline?
February 5th.
3.
A week from today, I think. 3:00.
And when was the All-Star game?
19th, maybe?
They changed it, didn't they? Didn't they change the deadline? Because before I could have sworn used to be able you can go to the All-Star game and then come back. Because I remember all the times they used to stay with such and such going to All-Star, they could talk, figure out trades and all this and that. They must have redated the trade deadline.
Maybe. I do remember a lot of that talk during All-Star break, but I'm wondering if that was for the off season or in terms of when they become free agents. Anyway, other than Giannis, this is the question I wanted to ask about Drew Holiday. Are you interested in Drew Holiday only if it increases only if it's part of a Giannis deal, or are you interested in him irrespective of whether Giannis is involved? or we're able to get him?
I think that the only reason the Knicks are interested in him is because of the Giannis piece of it. And in other words, I think that if the Knicks say, hey, we can go out and get a guy you will really want to play with and still be have a championship contending core, and that makes him a lot more attractive. I'm not sure otherwise a deal where you're giving up Bridges, who's a younger player and probably has more left in the tank than at this point. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to acquire him otherwise, just because he's you want to talk about on the downside of his career, that's a guard who's 35, or at least 35. So he's not the same player he was 3 years ago, and he's on the books for at least another 2 seasons after this one. And I know people say, well, he'll be expiring in his final year, but that's only useful if you find a trade partner who wants to take on that expiring. What are you taking back to get that? And especially if you're a second apron team that you're talking about, you can't aggregate salaries. You're talking about getting someone in for another year who's of the same salary. And so that complicates matters. But if you're getting Giannis, you're going all in anyway. And if that's the ante that you have to do to be in the game, then it is what it is. But, I think there's a world of argument defensively, at least, that subbing out Giannis and Holiday for Bridges and Cat certainly makes us a better defensive team in the short term.
I mean, if it's Boogie, Ajay, thoughts on Drew Holiday without Giannis?
Here we go trying to trick somebody again. Trying to trick players.
I think in a couple of your previous shows, you express exactly the reason why it's the money for that age, for that caliber player, and the lengthy contract that he has just make him it's just not a good option, I don't think. Unless if you go for him, you have to win now. And if you miss the now, that you're pretty much screwed.
And by now, like in the next
6
months.
Yeah, exactly. This season. That's it.
All right. So he was signed he signed a 4-year, $134 million contract last season when he was with Boston. So he's in the second year of that contract, and he's making $32,400,000. Next year, $34,800,000, and then 27-28, pretty much 26-27. 27-28, he has a player option. I think that's similar to
Bridges.
Giannis. 27-28 also has a player, also has a player option. I mean,
he's exercising that player option, though. There's no way he's going to be making more.
Absolutely.
I just considered another year. There's no way he's declining that option.
Correct. So basically, he's going to have 3 more this year and 2 more years. That's a lot of money, and to sign him and Giannis. More than Cat. Remember you talked about just Cat going in terms of salary? It's going to have to, if you're trying to bring him in, it's going to be, who else are you sending out to match that salary to bring both of those guys in here?
Well, the thing is, it has to about wash, Queen, because if you think about it, that we can only do trades where we take back less money than we send out. So it's got, the salary situation isn't going to be different. Like it may be different by $1 million or so, or a little bit, but we pretty much have to trade out what we're getting back. So if the trades work under the collective bargaining agreement, our financial situation won't be significantly different.
No. I'm talking about player wise, in terms of who you're sending out to to for both Giannis and Drew Holiday. You're sending out significant players making significant money to match those contracts. It's not like Drew Holiday is making 12 million and maybe you can get away sending out, I don't know.
No, you would be sending out Bridges and probably another piece, a bench piece that would likely get it done. But if you're talking about a 3-team deal, you may be even talking about maybe just Bridges and somebody else going to Portland to satisfy the CBA agreement. But Bridges gets you most of the way there, especially since I think he has a trade kicker if he gets dealt. So, and I think he's making at least 24 million this year. So, so you can do Bridges and Yabusele, for example, probably gets it done. If not, Bridges, Yabusele, and Dadier, something like that. So,
and then Cat and whoever they want for Giannis. I mean, I'm not bringing in Drew Holiday. I like him, but it's just not something I would be. With Giannis, you might be able to talk me into it. Without Giannis, it is a no-go.
Yeah, I think that's a non-starter. I'm with you at 100%, Queen.
Okay. Anybody else you're interested in? So let me just. These are the other players. Nothing is going to happen though until this Giannis thing is settled one way or another. But apparently, I'm not saying the Knicks are interested in these players. I'm just giving you a sense of who's also out there on the trade market. Reports are Ja Morant, Anthony Davis. We talked about Drew Holiday, Jose Alvarado, Dallas, beyond Anthony Davis, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson might be available. Sacramento, Levine, DeRozan, Schroeder, Malik Monk might be available, in addition to Sabonis. And Brooklyn, if they want to go really, really, really young, Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas. So I know all the talk is about Giannis, but there are reports that there are other players available. I think if you can't get Giannis and he's not traded somewhere else, you have another shot in the offseason.
Absolutely. And that'll make a difference of what we're willing to give up. That's a great point, Queen, because if that's still a possibility come the draft, the Knicks are not going to move very much. But you still could see a deal like Yabusele for Nick Richards, for example, which I think works in the salary in terms of salaries, or or a deal for Jose Alvarado, for example. You could still do something along the margins that's not going to affect what the plans are for the summer, but you wouldn't see any big moves like moving off from any of our core 7 if the Giannis situation is still up in the air. But you might see one of those marginal moves.
Yeah, if he's not moved. If he is moved, do you think the Knicks should look to upgrade the team, or if he's moved, just kind of stay pat? Boogie?
You talking about Towns, right?
No, if Giannis is moved to another team before the trade deadline, should the Knicks still look to improve the team, or should they just rock with who they have?
I mean, if he go out west, I'm good. If he gets traded somewhere in the east, I'm pissed. I'm telling you that right now. I'm pissed. I might go into hibernation again. For real. And I'm not moving Towns. If it's not an all-star, I'm not moving Towns.
Absolutely.
I got to have an all-star return. Because I'm giving you an all-star. Forget how he look or whatever. The man is still an all-star. The man still leads the league in double-doubles. The man still is averaging almost 20 and 11? He's averaging that. I just don't.
Rebounds too.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is, why he's not clicking. Maybe it's the rumor talk or whatever, but I'm not just going to make a move just to make a move. I'm going to make a move that's going to, really help this team this year. So if Giannis goes somewhere else, I'm not looking at just upgrade just to upgrade. I might only trade that I will mandatory do is get Bookman from Good Times up out of here. Yabasheli, rerun, get him out of here. You got to get him out of here. Leon, I don't even know what you was thinking about when you brought him in here. When you brought him in here, see, that ain't had nothing to do with Mike. And nothing at all. You did all these moves, huh?
Or Clarkson. He brought both of them in.
You did all these moves before you even got Mike. So, you gotta be on the same page with somebody, man. You brought this man here for a reason. You gotta be on the same page as him. And you got to have his type players for his systems to work. But one thing is I do not understand is because I'm on record saying this is the most versatile coach we have ever had. So my thing is, you're pretty much running the Golden State offense. You're pretty much running that. But dog, you was in San Antonio, dude. And I ain't saying that. I'm not trying to compare Brunson and Towns nowhere near Tony and Tim. But dog, you can run that high pick and roll with them two guys. I don't see that. You got to figure it out. If we're not moving Towns and he's here, you got to figure it out to move forward, because this is a wasted opportunity if we don't handle our business this year. Because that curly wave dude, he coming back to Boston. He coming back.
The punchable face is coming back to Indiana with a lottery pick.
Yeah, they coming back with a lottery pick. It's, you know what I'm saying? This is our opportunity. And be honest with you, Detroit ain't got that much better far as players. They just gelling together better than what we are. So that's why they look like they look now, but they lost two main ingredients. And the only person they brought over there was Duncan Robinson. You mean they ain't better than us, but they playing better than us. They playing better than us. You got to figure this out, because, man, we don't get it done this year. Man, I don't know what's going to happen. And you got OKC over there like the Predator, the movie Predator. You remember the Predator when they first hit him? Bam! Hit him, and he was leaking that green stuff over there, and he was like, see, he bleeding. It bleeds, so if it bleeds, it can be killed. OKC been bleeding this year. But anybody's on high hope about them, they've been bleeding this year. So to me, I feel like really it's wide open for somebody to win it all this year. That's just my personal feelings. I just think it's wide open. It's some teams out here that can go and win it all this year. And right now, it's looking like we don't want to be one of those teams.
Boogie, let me ask you this, though.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel like the Knicks should be – I get that there's a better opportunity given Tatum is out and Halliburton out. But do you think the Knicks' mindset should be, we got to sneak in here and try to get it right now, because once they come back, that's it, our window is closing? Or they should be trying to build a team that can compete with them even when they're healthy? Because otherwise, this is just a one-year window. And when those guys come back, it's a wrap. Where I feel like the Knicks need to try to build a team that can even compete with Boston, with Tatum, and Indiana with Halliburton. I get it's more of an opportunity, but you still got to build a team that can compete with them.
You have to have a team to compete with anybody every year.
Right.
But before I'm thinking about competing against them guys next year, I'm thinking about competing this year. This can't be a wasted opportunity. We can't just, when we came into the season, we was all high hopes. We had a lot of high hopes. We just came in here we was all thinking about maybe he can be the third All-Star. We know Towns and Brunson might go. Maybe OG can go. We had high hopes, and then they started out clicking and everything, and then things just started falling apart. And they ain't been unable really to kind of like figure it out until, I guess, after the players only meeting. Is no way in the hell we supposed to have a players meeting going into a Brooklyn Nets game. A Brooklyn Nets game, we had a players meeting going into that. I didn't even watch that Brooklyn game at all, period. I wanted no partner for what? We supposed to splat them. We ain't supposed to be getting right against them. Lord knows if we'd have lost, man. And the game before that, James Dolan walked up out of there. He got up out of there. He looked so terrible. And then you going against Brooklyn and they ha kiki and got all our draft picks. Got all of them. All of them. Them the ones I'm scared and worried about. Them sneaking back up on us.
All right. Anybody else you guys are interested in before we get out of here? Interested in if Giannis goes to another team?
Not really. I'm not into the Jose. I don't want to be in the Jose Alvarado business. I know that. I've looked into that a little bit more. not really overly impressed with that, but I understand. And same goes for a guy like Yves Messi, who's a stretch five, but with the way that Mitch has played, you kind of have to just roll the dice with him and try and keep him because he's critical to this team being even close to a contender right now. Like I can't, a lot of times you could say, well, maybe we can, I don't think you can replace what Mitch does for this team for a contract that's equal or lesser value right now. Maybe you do, but I just think that his contribution is too valuable. And I think that we're starting to see his health and his stamina come back. I think if it was the playoffs, he probably would have been inserted in the lineup against Toronto, but they're trying to stay true to the regimen so that they have him for the postseason where you don't play back-to-back games. And I think that the key is to keep him safe and healthy and to get to the postseason in a position where we have home court advantage and can do some things. So, again, if you want to bring in a third center like a Nick Richards, okay, or another ball handler, another point of attack defender, okay, but I don't really want to mess with the core 7 or 8 if it's not for a legitimate upgrade.
Give me Triple J, man.
Okay.
Just give me Triple J. That's so. If you go make a trade, you ain't getting Giannis, and you gonna get this guy. Man, go ahead and give me Triple J, because I promise you, you putting Triple J out there with OG, Bridges, and Mitch, going down the stretch, you got some lockdown sense account right there. And then now you got OG and Bridges where they can really press the perimeter. They can really press it because they got two dudes back there that really know how to, But I know you get ready to shut down, Queen. If I may, anybody, that's still watching and you're all from the New York area, I just wanted to share with you guys my high school coach, Ron Niclario from Benjamin Cardozo. He's sitting on right now 972 wins. A victory tomorrow would give him 973 wins. He would be the all-time most winningest coach in the history of New York. That's in all levels of sports in New York. Junior high, high school, college basketball, NBA, with the Nets and the Knicks, he would be the all-time most winningest coach it is in the history of New York. He is also the last remaining ball boy for the 1973 championship team. He is also the son of Emil Niclario, the one that saved Dr. Martin Luther King's life in 1968. And he reached out to me, and I'm so honored. He reached out to me and asked me to do an anthem on his life. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be working with that. But I just wanted to, share that anybody else, because I know my guy, JJ, I don't know if he's in the chat. But I know me and him, he's always, orange and blue twice. We both from Cardozo. But anybody that don't know of Ron Niclario, you don't know of basketball. Ron Niclario is basketball in New York City. Point blank. Every pro player has been with him, around him. Everybody knows who that man is. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, about, perhaps he might be accomplishing that tomorrow, which is Friday. I'm quite sure he win that game is going to be all over the daily news, the post papers is going to be all over the place. So I just want to shout out to Ron Niclario in sports, basketball sports, and anybody that went to Cardoza. I just want to, acknowledge him for that.
The next generation of website creation. Wix Harmony.
All right. All right. Somebody. Okay. Is that me? Somebody. Okay. Ajay, any last words or any player you want the Knicks to target before your last words?
I don't know who's out there, but
Just gave a whole list.
yeah, but
You're getting ahead of your work for tomorrow. I see you over there.
no. I don't know who's out there that I would want that would make a difference.
A healthy AD would, but you can't count on him being healthy.
You cannot count on him. Like I don't know who's, like, from the list you gave, I don't know nobody that would make a difference really. If we're gonna get rid, not that they would make a difference, but what you given up for to acquire them,
Gotcha.
To me, it would be a lateral move. So if we can't get somebody as impactful as Giannis or even Drew Holiday would have been impactful if it wasn't for the money and the age, But it's got to be somebody that's bringing something to the team. It can't be like you moving sideways. You're bringing somebody to move sideways. You know what I'm saying? So it's just.
And to Boogie's point, you can't be trading Cat for role players.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Brunson needs help,
Yeah.
and OG and Bridges, they're good in their roles, but he needs a 1 or 1A or 2 next to him, and you can't be giving. Now, can you get that for Cat given how he's playing right now? Like, you hope teams will be able to say, I know who Cat is. He just wasn't a fit with this new system. He'll fit better with us. You hope that that's what teams will say and give you an opportunity to get a 1A or 2. But you can't be giving up Cat and bringing in more role players that Brunson now has to try to, create for them. Nah. Then I'll just hold on to Cat and figure it out.
I mean, if we get role players, yeah, it better be Yabusele going,
But if you're trading Yabusele, where the minutes come in for the guy you're acquiring, because Yabu's not in the rotation as it is. So
I think Yabu's not in the rotation because he's not producing. If he was producing, they'd have found minutes for him.
It's down to 8. I do think we have room to
if you
open it up to 9 if we can find somebody.
If we could find somebody, Queen, they could get minutes, because Yabu's not giving nothing. So that's why he's not playing.
I don't think it's a lot unless you bring somebody else's, minutes down. But
no, if you bring some of those guys, you talked about the guys from Dallas, the PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, one of those. I mean, those guys, you'll find minutes for them, if you bring some of those guys, 1 or 2 of those guys.
Geoff, last words or any you want to comment on?
Jay Boog, thank you for hanging out with us, man. It's always a pleasure, my friend. God, peace and blessings from the Lord to you, sir. Always. We love having you as part of this family. You always bring more than you take away. So we appreciate you so much. Thank you to the chat and Knick Nation for hanging out with us. I hope your throat gets to feeling better. Yeah. And I guess next show Saturday morning, right? 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock your time?
10 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock yours. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
When's our next game?
Tomorrow, Portland. We play Portland at MSG tomorrow. and then we play the Lakers on Saturday.
It
Sunday.
might be going down. It might be going down.
Bridges is gonna have the worst game of his career.
Hey, look, hey,
Like
listen,
Clarkson did last year when he played the Knicks at MSG.
this was the perfect time for him to come out and do what he did the other day.
Yeah. Listen, if the Knicks can get Giannis and Bridges can have a great game or not have a great game, if the Knicks can get Giannis and Bridges have to be in the trade, I'm sure the Knicks would do it.
Yeah. They would do it in a they would do it in a heartbeat. If Giannis is telling them, I want to go to New York and only New York, then anytime after Sunday and between the 5th, it's somehow, some way it should get done. It's just a matter of fact of them figuring it out, money and all this and that, all that big boy talk and everything. But
finding other teams that can help facilitate the trade, right? I think Brooklyn is the only team with money. Like they can actually absorb salary and help facilitate a trade.
And maybe they owe Leon a favor. All them picks he gave. I don't know.
They ain't doing Leon no favors. Not after we stomped them 3,000 to 6 the other night. They ain't doing us no favors, J Boog. I can promise you.
I'm talking about with the picks they don't give, but even with all the picks, you're right. Way they did, they might just renege, man. We ain't giving y'all nothing, man. We ain't doing nothing for y'all, man.
I hate to think about this in terms of context for the Knicks championship window. All of those picks we gave up to Brooklyn. If we don't maximize this window and come out with a chip, and Brunson is already over 30, Cat's already over 30. Like this window is not like a 6-year window, and things fall apart, and then you don't have your draft picks. Oh my goodness, this could be a disaster.
So I say it's on Leon. This is all Leon's best.
But Boogie said it best. Leon was brought here to bring in superstars. Like that's why he was hired. He wasn't hired to sign Yabusele and trade for Josh Hart. That was not why James Dolan brought him here. He was brought here to bring in stars, and he did that with Jalen Brunson. But his cachet, his relationships, and all those things were supposed to bring in a big time star, big time name, and it's out there. You got to make it happen if that's what you were brought here to do. That's part of finalizing the deal and making this as close to a championship team as possible.
That's why World Wide West is on the payroll. What else does he do?
In all fairness, though, to Boogie's point, Brunson wasn't a superstar when they traded for him. He turned into an all-star, all-NBA player. And then at that point, maybe they felt like they didn't need to get – maybe they felt after that just building a good team around him with Cat and Bridges and OG would be enough, given how, Brunson ascended. But they gave up a lot. They pushed their chips to the middle of the table with that Cat and Bridges trade. And if those two players can't turn it around, and they can't turn one or two of those players into something else, it would have been a roll of the dice that didn't work out.
Shout out to my guy State from Knicks Twitter. And he said it. I'm just repeating what he said, some of his words. I love, shouting out people when I re-say something what somebody else said. But Leon, this is all you. This is on you. You have to make this right and get it right, because what did you come over here for? We were straight before Leon came here, honestly. We had everything. And you was a millionaire. You was $320 million man strong. What you come over here for? If you come over here for the championship, you can't be hesitant about doing the championship things. Where's our superstar? Where's he at? Bring him on. He over there telling you he don't want to be over there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm not gonna get too down on Leon Rose. I think we had won like 8 games before he got here with Thibodeau. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but I do hear your point. The next level.
You have to be on the next level because all I see right now is what we don't have anymore. And knowing what we don't have anymore, and then you're talking about these 2 guys going out the door. You talking about Towns and Bridges going out the door? What was the
only
point?
if we get somebody, right? Only if we get
You better get somebody because we don't gave up the farm to get these guys, and you putting them out the door.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, you're right. If they are gonna trade them, you're right. You gotta bring in a star.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier. That's the only thing that's going to make up him for them 5 picks that he gave up. That's the only thing.
Or Bridges turning into something that we don't that we didn't imagine.
He don't know what to say to the coaches. Let's rock, Bridges. Let's go, Bridges.
Yeah,
I believe
see
it.
what you got. Let me tell you, Ajay text me. I didn't even think he was having a bad game. He texted me. He said, "Look at Bridges doing nothing." I was like,
he went 14 minutes without a single field goal attempt in that game, and then he went absolutely ballistic.
Remember, I said, Queen, I said, I don't want to see another minute from Bridges. And
wow.
I didn't even think he was playing that bad. He was like, have you seen him? Are you watching him? He looks terrible. I was like, wow. Oh, boy. Anyway, Boogie, I appreciate you. Geoff, you already know. Looking forward to that Saturday show. Ajay, I appreciate you rocking with us. We miss you, Jerrell. We'll see you next time. Knick Nation, rocking with us. I appreciate that as well. Everyone listening on Twitter, YouTube, the chat, banging tonight. I tried to get up as many comments as I could. I definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us. If you're new to the chat, welcome. If not, welcome back. Replay gang, we appreciate you. Silent listeners, we appreciate you. I was able to get to some of the comments from the replay gang today as well. Wiz.
Shout out to Wiz Queen.
Yes,
Before we go, like we had a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers tonight, man. But please, y'all hit the like button, share this, on your social media, man. Just bring everybody to the table, man. Let's just have a big party. I know you guys enjoy this because you hear whenever we come on. It's been quite a few people coming. I don't know if you were watching the count. We had a lot of people. So, but please hit the like button, even if it's on the way out. Hit the like button right now, and before you log off, just Did
you hit it, Ajay?
Yes, I did. I sure did.
And be sure to come back. I think one of the things we're trying to do is just, have the chat be as much a part of the show as the panel. So you guys don't just come here and listen to what we have to say, but we're listening to what you're saying in the chat. We're bringing it, putting it up. And then also there are some comments that we talk about ourselves. So wanted to be more of a give and take between the chat and the panel. I'm not sure where else that's happening, but it is happening here. So
they're definitely more interactive. We make it more interesting. And sometimes we take calls, Queen. Sometimes we take calls.
I think I put up a poll. Did I put up a poll?
Yes, you did.
Where is it? Let me try to get to
it. I answered it, so I know you put one up, but I don't know what the results
I answered it too.
It's not. I think I probably have to go back to the. Is it on the live feed? Probably have to go back to that. Let me see. To see what the results are, because it's not showing here.
Okay, family, I'm gonna rock out, man. Shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to you, Queen. Shout out to you, the captain over there and the #1 pilot over there, Ajay, man. Blessings, health, happiness to everybody.
Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Man, no doubt, man, no doubt. I called Queen up today. I had to let her know. Hey, yo, Queen, you know what, man? I don't be seeing the shows around. Queen, you going on today? He said, "Yeah, okay. I got it. I got to come up and hang out, man. Yeah, yeah, man. I love rocking with y'all. Continue on doing what you're doing, First Lady. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, you know what I'm saying, do it like you do it, man. We love and appreciate you to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? You always say there's no channel without the panel. Nah, if it ain't your show, we not even here today. You know what I'm saying? So we appreciate you being, because we know you could be anywhere in the world. You could be out of the country. We know how you travel. Hey, can you take me on a trip one time, man?
next week I'll be in Ghana. I'm gonna try 2:00 in the morning. I'm gonna try to stay up and do the show. Not next week, the week after. Yeah.
But God bless you. Deserve it, man.
Appreciate you
For sure.
All right. So this is the poll. Simple. It just disappeared. Just what the hell? Oh, here it is. Simple. Simple. Should the Knicks reset again? Because this is a reset, right? And trade for Giannis. 53% said yes. 47% said no. This is, you got to do it both ways, because with YouTube now, it's separate for the phones. There's a separate stream for the phones and another stream for the platform. Okay, that's same thing. Same thing. 57% said no. There's a little different on landscape mode. 57% said yes and 43% said no. 116 votes. But both of them, one was 53, one was 57, said yeah, the Knicks should go after Giannis, even if it is a little of a reset for the roster. I just feel like you barely get to see a team go through it before you making a major change. Now that team has to gel, you know, but it is what it is. Anyway, appreciate you all. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.